5, 4, 3, 2, 1, begin.
And welcome to this video. My name is Jake and you're watching my summary, my conclusion to my playthrough of Bionic Commando. Now with this video I want to sort of end the playthrough, sort of show you a sort of best of all my favorite scenes from this playthrough, and then in this case also show you why I had to re-edit and re-upload most of the parts of this playthrough. Now I will be doing these sort of summary videos for all future playthroughs I'll be doing, while the favorite scenes will always be in these videos. Any additional content will come down to the specific playthroughs. And as always, as I will be discussing and showing scenes throughout the game, this video obviously has spoiler warnings for both story and gameplay. Anyway, let's start with my favorite scenes. My first favorite scene is in part number 1, in the intro cutscene. While Spencer and Super Joe are talking in the jet hangar, there's actually a few mechanics working on the jet in the background, and one of them near the engine gets electrocuted and he does the famous Wilhelm scream.
We're sending you into the city to scout the area and help us track down those.
Oh my god.
I'm just a man, Spencer. I can't give you.
My second favorite scene is in part number 2, where you, just after Spencer received his bionic arm, you have to jump out of a skyscraper. Before you jump out of it, you can actually view the surrounding city, and it looks pretty cool with the sun either setting or rising, I don't know. But just the idea of jumping out of a skyscraper without getting hurt at the bottom is just, I think it's a pretty cool idea. And a pretty cool thing to do. Challenge. Whoa. For a city that's supposed to be hit with some kind of really large explosion, this does not seem to be that destroyed. Oh, okay, you said it. Let's do it. Okay, that was pretty cool. And pretty high. My favorite scene, number 3, is also in part number 2, shortly after you've dropped out of the skyscraper. There's a short cutscene and you walk along the road, and in the background, just at the end near the horizon, you can actually see a skyscraper crumble to the ground. But at the time I was so focused on the collectible that was floating in the middle of the street that I didn't even notice it at first. I did catch the skyscraper moving maybe halfway through its motion, but this was maybe a bad idea from developers that they put a collectible just right in there, because it's easy to miss something in the background that's so far away. But what is a cool idea, and what they did very well in my opinion, was the shockwave that's moving through the ground, and then dust is rising from the shockwave, and also Spencer stumbles when the shockwave hits him, which is a really nice attention to detail. Oh, whoa. Hey, that is cool. Number 4 is in part number 3. Here you move along the street and there's a group of enemies right in front up ahead. Of course you can go ahead and just take them out of your pistol, you punch them to death with your bionic arm. Either way works just fine. But what you can actually do, and what they did really nicely, the developers grin, they actually used nice game design, clever game design, by luring you into a building on the left. They put a collectible at the entrance, and then from there, in there, you can actually rip down the monorail wagon from its track, which then falls down and kills the enemies. Now why this is cool and interesting is because it provides the player a way to take out the enemies in an interesting fashion, and not just in the normal way. And that's, I think, it's pretty cool because it actually uses clever game design to give you a cool mechanic for, even if it's just for that one moment. Because I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think there's any more scenes like that in the whole game.
Oh, wait a
but
second, can I not?
Don't quote me on that. Oh, no? Yeah! Owned. Number 5 is also in part number 3, and here you grab your first secondary weapon, the hiker, scatter or slash shotgun. Now this thing it's just an awesome weapon because you can, while it does function pretty much like a shotgun, but like you used to shotguns to function like in pretty much every other shooter game, it actually has a decent range and it takes out enemies really easily. You have of course only 8 shots from the get-go, but even then it's so satisfying using this thing, and in my opinion every other secondary weapon pretty much pales in comparison to this one. And I was surprised when I got this and used it the first time because I wasn't expecting such a cool weapon from this.
8 shots. 8 rounds. Let's try this out. Ooh, this is a shotgun. At least in some degree. Ho, ho, ho. This thing does pack a punch. He wasn't kidding. This thing is awesome.
This scene happens in part number 4, and this is actually one of the first industrial complex levels, and also one of the first levels where you encounter pretty much only enemy snipers. And in my opinion, you can actually move very fast and very graceful through this type of terrain because of all these extrusions and pipes that are alongside the buildings. And the particular scene I'm talking about is this one sniper that sits on top of a large pipe. And when I was moving up to him, I just thought, I wasn't saying anything. I just thought in my head, oh, I know how this guy is going to go down, and this is going to be awesome.
Sucks to be you.
Now this scene is one of my favorites of these favorites. This happens during part number 5, and here you fight your first polycraft. These are VTOLs, pretty much. And to further explain this, you can actually slam kick into foot soldiers by grabbing onto them, pressing 2 times space, and then you kick into them. And this does quite some damage. And you can see this by the red crosshairs that appear on enemy soldiers if you're near enough. And I was surprised when I moved after the polycraft and the red crosshairs appeared on it. So I was like, hey, can I kick this? And as it turns out, you can kick VTOLs in this game.
Joe, are you there?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah,
What's this thing
go
doing?
ahead.
You got anything that can deal with airborne bogeys?
Oh, okay.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. That is pretty much... That is pretty awesome.
That there is the state of the art.
This favorite scene, number 8, happens during part number 9. And what I'm talking about here in particular is the short voiceover that you get from Super Joe. Actually, it's a compliment, I guess. You get it after you've killed a few of the soldiers here, and I thought it was just kind of a nice addition to a character that just normally just spouts commands at you.
And that's still took on 1.
Eat that!
What did they feed you in that prison, Spencer? That was amazing.
Thank you. This scene happens during part number 16, and it's a short sequence, but it's a fun sequence. Here you jump from Burek helicopter to Burek helicopter, and then hijack them and flying up to the next one. And then you drop off the one you're on to the next one, and so on until you reach the first one. Now, in itself, this doesn't sound like much fun, but while you're controlling these Burek helicopters in a pretty much very particular way, you can actually take out smaller air bikes, I guess, hover bikes sort of, that will fly up on the side with soldiers on them. So you can actually just fly into them with the Burek helicopter itself, which just makes them tumble away out of the screen, or you can, of course, shoot them, which is also pretty much fun. And just in itself, I think it's a pretty cool sequence.
No? Get wrecked. Oh, now I know what I'm doing. This is pretty cool.
Now this scene here is near the end of the game. After you, in quotation marks, defeat the final boss, he grabs onto you, and then Spencer fades out. When he returns his conscious, when he's conscious again, he then proceeds to simply bash the visor from Super Joe's armor in, and then Super Joe himself gives him a headbutt that takes him out. And just the overall idea of this is just so ridiculous, and in my opinion, absolutely badass. And the whole composition of him with Super Joe in the suit, then the device the game is for a long time about, and then his move to destroy it and such, and the music in the background, it's just so nice, and such a nice composition in my opinion, that this is also one of my favorites of these favorites. And now here we are on the last favorite scene of mine. This is my favorite scene of my playthrough, of this playthrough of Bionic Commando. This is, of course, the boss fight against the large metallic or robotic worm in, I think it's part number 13. And this boss fight, while actually rather simple, there's no like overly complex move sets that you have to use, or tactics that you have to use, or strategies. It's just a few different attacks from the enemy, and then but over the flow of the boss fight, it's so much fun. And while I did have to try it a second time because I've died in the first one, it was just so much fun defeating this one. And I don't know, I just wish more games had boss fights like these. Maybe I'm playing the wrong games, who knows? But this was just so much fun. Now this looks also like a boss arena. And there's the boss. That is pretty huge, am I? The harder they fall.
Whoa, is that a long health bar, or are you just happy to see me?
Are you serious?
No way out. You'll just have to
Oh my
fight
god.
My pleasure.
Now I have to admit, I was lying. This wasn't the final favorite scene. This is actually the last favorite scene I have, I promise. And this is also about the worm boss fight. When you first encounter the worm, Super Joe says to Spencer, "There's no way out, you'll just have to fight it." And then Spencer answers, "My pleasure," because he likes killing or fighting huge metallic worms. I can't blame him really, it's pretty badass. But what I'm talking about right here is that on my second try, Super Joe said, "You'll just have to fuck it." And he actually says that. It's not just like I'm mishearing things. He actually says that. And then even Spencer is surprised and just says, and that's it. And just the realization that they actually put this in the game. I mean, I realized it, I reacted to it while playing, but it's just such a short sequence, and you have this huge worm in front of your screen, which takes up most of your concentration and focus, so you don't actually notice this in retrospect. I completely forgot about it, but just that they put this in, I mean, I haven't gone back into the game and checked if this happens every second time you fight this worm, this boss, but it's just, I think it's just so funny that they actually gone and put this in. And I don't know if this is some kind of Easter egg, but just, I thought it was funny enough to talk about this here in this video.
The bigger they are.
Whoa, is that a long health bar, or are you just happy to see me?
Spencer, there's no way out. You'll just have to fuck it.
Whoa, that was weird.
So, these were my 12, I think 12, favorite scenes of my playthrough of Bionic Commando. Now, before I leave you, I want to show you why I had to re-edit and re-upload most of these parts of this playthrough. Now, for whatever reason, the footage I recorded was desynced. Video and audio wasn't synchronized, so you had this weird sound delay. Like, I shot my pistol and then a few frames later, the sound of the pistol discharging was heard, and then the pistol firing was heard. And also hit points, hit sounds, etc. were also delayed. And just at the first few parts, I just thought maybe the game is having some problems. And I never thought about it again until I was editing the last few parts, and then I realized, wait a second, this is getting longer. And then I've gone back and I've wrote this down on a piece of paper, and for some reason, the further I've got into the footage, the larger the desync was. Like, at the start it was like maybe 4 or 5 frames, and at the end it was like 15 to 18 frames. And this never happened to me before, and I hope it never happens to me again, because it does take quite some time to go through all the video, all the footage you have, and resync the video and audio lines. This does take some time, and I think the end result is still pretty much worth it, because I have 2 examples. First, I'm showing you 2 jump cuts. The first one, they're both always the original first, and then the fixed version afterwards. And I think they really nicely show and display why this was a problem and how much better the end result is. So yeah, I really hope this never happens to me again. I actually spent the evening after I found this out. I spent the whole evening recording and testing if my recording setup was flawed in some way. And so far it doesn't seem like it's my recording setup, it just, I don't know, something, whatever it was, I hope it never happens again.
Down you go! Down you go! Main base, I have eyes on the enemy.
Yes! Run away, Mr. Special!
Main base, I have eyes on the enemy.
So, that's it pretty much for this summary video of my playthrough of Bionic Commando. I hope you enjoyed it even closely as much as I did making this, because this was really fun to do. Going back through all the footage, seeing these scenes again of the videos, of the parts, I just think it's a bit... It feels a bit weird to end a playthrough of a game with the credits, because itself, if most games I don't simply play through them, see the credits, and then that's it, I deinstall it and then never play it again. I often finish games and then I think about them for quite some time, and think about what I liked, what I disliked, gather my thoughts, and then, I don't know, maybe write a Steam review or go back and play a few parts of it again. And that was pretty much the same thing for Bionic Commando, just in video form. So, as I said, I hope you enjoyed it. That was really fun to do, and I'm looking forward to doing more videos in the future. And I guess thanks for watching, and maybe I'll see you in another video.
You'll just have to fuck it.